So something I want to make very clear from the beginning. Castlevania is not an anime. At all. It is based on a thing that is from Japan. That is about as close to anime as this thing actually gets. And I guess maybe because of the art style a little... It doesn't even really look anime. But I just want to state that one out. Because I'm a stickler for this bullshit. This... Oh, anime is an expression, it's an art form. It can be I don't want to say I like cartoons, so I want my mature stuff to be called anime, okay? Fuck off, you're watching cartoons. You like cartoons. Cartoons are cool, there's nothing wrong with them. But yeah, this is a really good cartoon. Mm-hmm. Dan, Bob, and I talked about Season 1 back during the Weeaboots days. What did you think of Season 1?
It was really fucking short.
Yeah, you do know the history behind that, right? Like why it was so short, like what it actually was originally.
Was there like a special reason it was so short? Or?
Yes.
Oh god, wasn't this like the reworked script for that movie?
Yeah, remember back 10 fucking years ago.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the one where somebody fucked an animal or something.
Well, there was that throwaway line that was in. Because, Warren Ellis was talking about, your introduction to Trevor Belmont is him in a bar, and some guy talking about some other guy fucking a sheep, or a goat or whatever, and that scene is in the first season. So that was the thing I was waiting for in Season 1, to be because, it's 4 episodes, Warren Ellis is writing, I'm like, okay, who... Is this actually the same Warren Ellis story that he did for that movie that never happened? And yep, it is the exact same repurpose. That's also why, in Season 1, episodes just end. Mm-hmm. They don't, have, a conclusive point.
Yeah, that was a fucking movie.
Yeah, that was just... And, alright, that was the end of a scene. Next episode. Sometimes it wasn't even... Episode 1 literally ends on, Trevor in a bar going, oh, shit. And then that was the end of an episode. It actually gives me flashbacks to when you and I tried to watch the TV edit of Gundam Unicorn, where they took what was clearly a bunch of OVAs and chopped into 22-minute chunks, and it was just that was a 22-minute chunk, done. So yeah, we got that was the case with that one. I loved Season 1. I was just yeah, this is a great foundation for a Castlevania series. And, for the record, I am just a shameless Castlevania whore. I love the games, the Classicvanias, the Metroidvanias, the questionable 3D Vanias. I enjoy me some Castlevanias that don't have the words Lords of Shadow in them. And... I am, because I know people are biases, and, I am biased as fuck towards this. I cannot,
it's called liking something, I don't know.
Right, yeah, no.
You need to divulge your bias to, what?
Well, it's more of, I feel like if this was not Castlevania, I would have been yeah, no, that was fine, that was good. But because it was Castlevania and it had, the hallmarks of Castlevania on it, I'm I clapped! I saw the thing and I clapped! Because I'm a fucking whore for this shit. It was a confidently done second season that had all the trappings and hallmarks of Castlevania, and I clapped like a fucking seal. So how about you? What was your thoughts on it?
On the second one?
Yeah, the second season.
Yeah, it was fucking great.
Alright.
Dracula is somehow the best wizard I've seen in fiction in a long time.
Really?
Yeah. Like in the old, Rosicrucian, hermetic sort of way. The motherfucker lives in a giant castle and does science with a bunch of brass nonsense. Some post-Paracelsus, early modern period, I will read the movements of the planets shit. The dude's a goddamn wizard. Which is why the church was absolutely right to murder his wife. She was She was partaking in the darkest of heart.
You know, let me say, like, I think my favorite line from season 1 is just when, like, Dracula appears to them, and everyone's, like, shitting their pants, and that one priest is like, you don't fucking exist. He's like, you murder my wife, then deny my very existence? God, the balls on that fucking priest, man. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Castlevania is usually when you try to turn, like, if you've got knobs on the console to make shows, because that's how I assume television shows get made, on a console with knobs. Or buy a bunch of knobs on a console. Usually if you try to turn dark and cool up this far, you end up with, like, Lady Death, and it's terrible.
Whew. Man, I haven't thought about that since, like, 2005.
Yeah. But no, it manages to do dark fantasy this elegantly, this intelligently, this beautifully, and still have a bunch of, like, 30-something coded characters just saying fuck a lot, and it's amazing.
Like, you know, if this were a little bit weirder, and the soundtrack were a little, well, way more 80s, this could be a heavy metal sequel.
Yeah. Parts of this could definitely be vignettes from heavy metal.
Yeah. So, yeah, like, you're talking about just, you know, cranking up the dark, cranking up the cool, like, oh my god, there's just so many sequences in this. Like, fucking, like, you know, we have our protagonists, like, they're adventuring, and they get attacked by monsters. And then Slagger and Gaibon show up, and I'm like, whoa! We're just dropping into Symphony of Night references. Okay. And then he picks the fucker up and, like, just tosses Gaibon at them, and I'm like, awesome. God, this season is full of, like, so many, like, little references, and this is like, you know, and then I clap, because, like, they don't really add anything to the narrative, but it added to my experience, and it made me happy, because I saw a thing I recognized, and it looked cool.
Yeah. That's the joy of good adaptation.
Yeah. I will say, this season did not go any way the way I was expecting this shit to go. Because after season 1, I'm like, okay, this is clearly Warren Ellis's movie script, cut into a 4-episode season, and I thought, like, this 8-episode second season was going to be like a 4-episode movie and a 4-episode movie, and it was going to be like a trilogy-like thing. And instead, we, you know, like, these 8 episodes are just one overarching thing, and they don't really feel like, you know, and like here's like the halfway end point, and then the third act. Other things, like, you know, because I was really thinking, like, okay, like, the next one, you know, like, maybe they'll introduce Grant, they'll fight Death, they'll, you know, we'll go on this big sprawling adventure, and then the finale will be, like, you know, they get to the castle, and they work their way, like, you know, through his minions, and then they get to Dracula, and it's going to be this big epic thing. Instead, we get, like, war councils and references to Lament of Innocence and Curse of Darkness and Devil Forgery, and I'm like, well, devil forging. Forgery is, look, I made all these fake demons. They're like made of like paper mache and origami, but you know, it'll fool someone.
It was Lester, the much lesser known Forge Master.
We trained him wrong as a joke. But yeah, so like Hector and Isaac showing up. I'm just like, oh, we're doing Curse of Darkness, and like fucking Hector shows up, and he looks like he just stepped out of Curse of Darkness, like that game. Unfortunately, he is not voiced by Crispin Freeman.
The same can be said of all animated characters.
True, but like, I don't know, it's just, I think like, because like Hector is like so, because you know, he is a Castlevania protagonist. So like in his game, he is over the top, just chewing scenery, just like, you know, Isaac, I'll fucking kill you, you cocksucker! And just, he's fucking amazing. Here, he's like all subdued and like a lot more of a pussy. And then you have like Isaac, who was basically a shirtless bondage gimp with like pierced nipples and like red hair and super effeminate. And like that was Isaac before, and here he's like this black self-flagellating manservant, and I don't know quite how to feel about his character. Because he is just completely different. Like he is eccentric and weird as fuck in like he's a Castlevania villain. There you go. He's a Castlevania villain in his game. And in this, he's a person. So I guess, like he's definitely a more interesting character, but like it's just he isn't Isaac at all. It's like he's like Isaac in name only, in occupation only. Yeah. Yeah, like I did like the dynamic that they gave, like I do like their backstories. I do like the interplay between Isaac and Hector. I feel like though their entire inclusion in this is just to set up season 3. So I feel like so much time is dedicated to them that it's just like this really didn't go anywhere other than to be like, maybe they'll do something next season. Mm-hmm. And I feel like they really could have just been shoved into the background and nothing of value would have been lost. Also, what Hector does is not devil forging. That motherfucker's just doing necromancy. He's just raising the dead. Like, yeah, he makes zombies and he takes demons and he, like, brings them back to life. Like, for context sake, in Curse of Darkness, the game that Hector is from, they do have, like, a whole, like, a gameplay mechanic is devil forging, where you literally just, alchemy up your own, like, chimeras to fight with you in the game. And, you make all these crazy weird monsters, and it's kind of the idea that, like, this is where all of Dracula's monsters come from, is these fuckers. Mm-hmm. And in this, like I said, he's just doing necromancy. He's not.
As has been said, like he's not doing it on screen, but everybody keeps talking about how that's where all of these creatures have come from.
Yeah, I just wish we would have seen more of that, like at all. Because, like I said, like every time you see him do something, like him bringing back the zombie priest was both. I feel like that's not how that should work, but also really fucking cool.
Right? Like I'm pretty sure being an evil prick, getting eaten by demons in a church because you're such an evil prick, and then being dead, and then being brought back by a process called devil forging really means you don't get to bless the water anymore.
I think God did it to be a prick. He's just like, whatever, sure. Like, it's gonna kill vampires. But yeah, because, like, that guy was such an evil prick that like, demons were able to enter the church because God no longer considered that church holy ground. Like, that guy was literally forsaken by God within the context of their universe. And then Carmilla shows up, mm-hmm. and she's being the evil femme fatale bitch. A lot of, like, I hear people, like, making, fucking feminism, blah, 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 bullshit. I don't know. I don't get it. It's just like...
I mean, she every now and then does take a moment to go, men.
Yeah.
But, I mean, no, she's great.
Yeah, but she's like every, like I feel like she's no different. Like, this character has existed in fiction since fiction. The evil, conniving, backstabbing, manipulative, like, villainous.
Hmm. Which, usually, that's the opposite of feminism.
Right? Like, oh, man. Like, I feel like the only thing, like, that is remotely feminist about her is when she just completely emasculates Hector and, like, takes him off in chains at the end. Which, I feel like Season 3 is going to be focused on, like, Hector and Isaac. That seems to be what they're setting up. And it's just going to be the Curse of Darkness storyline. Man, like, I really hope, Hector forges himself a backbone between these two seasons.
No, because it's going to be like 12 years later and 10-year-old Richter shows up.
That is not how that timeline works at all. Yeah, like, I there's so much cool shit here, but like, my biggest complaint, about this whole thing is that I feel like it's way too long. I feel like this could have been 6 episodes instead, and you would have gotten just as much story.
Heresy.
What?
I said heresy.
Okay, would Fooly Cooley been better if it were 8 episodes?
Man, maybe. Maybe not better, but there would have been 8 episodes. There would have been 2 more episodes, you son of a bitch.
Okay, well, I mean, you could have just had fewer episodes of Castlevania, and then just replace it by watching more episodes of Goblin Slayer, which you clearly fucking enjoy.
I feel like
You slob.
that neither is that here, nor is it there.
I mean, they're both grimdark fantasies. They're both incredibly violent. They both have, badass stoic protagonists. A cute girl mage.
Okay, what you're doing is only funny when I do it. When you do it to
I
me,
learned it from watching you, okay?
it's incredibly frustrating.
I'm just saying, though, like watching this, especially like having just watched like 3 episodes of Goblin Slayer, like watching this, I was just like, oh.
God, it's so pretty.
Oh man, like it's well animated. The CGI is used tastefully. Like the violence is visceral, but doesn't feel like just too edgy.
The dialogue is actually great to listen to. The world makes any fucking sense.
Yeah, like there's so much about like I will say I kind of wish there were more adventuring going on, because you have like our protagonists, they adventure to the Belmont Castle, and then they spend the rest of the season there until the tail end, where they just literally bring Dracula's castle to them.
See, this was fucking the Lord of the Rings problem. They had a wizard, but he was very hands off, so it was all time to fucking walk forever. You roll with any kind of actually, like, present and invested spellcaster. No. It's not walking, as peasants do upon the earth. No, I'm gonna go read a book for a couple of days, and then I'm gonna drag the final dungeon here.
Yeah, I fucking love that sequence where she's just, like, doing the fucking spell, and she's, like, trying to force... And the fucking castle's magical mechanisms are trying to fight against her bullshit. And just, like, the thing's just... teleporting all over the city, and it finally disappears, and Carmilla just, what the fuck just happened? Which, this series keeps introducing some of my favorite lines from the because like up until this series happened, my favorite line in all of Castlevania was from Ports of Ruin, where Jonathan Morris goes, "I may not be able to use the whip's power, but I can still kick your ass." Which is beautiful.
Oh, yes.
But I just love just the dialogue and banter between these characters. Like when Hector just, Godbrand, you haven't met anything you haven't wanted to fuck, kill, or turn into a boat. And it's just, yes. And then Godbrand just, what? I'm a Viking. We like to turn things into boats. Fucking, like, I was really confused by, like, the Vampire Council at first, because I was like, okay, so we have this War Council, and it's all a bunch of vampires just made up for this show. And then you got, like, some sort of Chinese vampire, and you got some other vampire, and then you got fucking Godbrand as the Viking vampire, and I'm just like, none of them are, like, pre-established characters, so I'm like, wait, really? Like there's no, like, Bronner, no Olrox, no Carmilla. Then Carmilla shows up. I'm like, okay, one of these characters is a pre-established, and then the rest of them are just fucking cannon fodder and just eat it, and I'm like, oh, that's why. Gotcha. Which, speaking of them being cannon fodder, oh my god, the storming the castle sequence. Like,
as a dyed-in-the-wool, card-carrying frost mage for life, that shit was some of the best ever.
Yeah, because I love storming the castle sequences in everything. Like TMNT had the CGI movie had that great like them just cutting through all the fucking ninjas. Fucking shit. Recently, when I was rewatching Avatar, and you had them like going into like Bossing Say and just working their way through everything. That was awesome. And then this is a great one because just everyone is just doing their thing. You have Alucard using telekinesis, mimicking the sword familiar, and he's doing like the werewolf thing, and it's fucking or the wolf thing, and it's fucking dope. Like everyone's being as awesome as they can, and it's just fucking gorgeous. It is gorgeously animated. The choreography in this shit is amazing. Because there's such a great sense of space in these fights. Mm-hmm. Like, I feel like a lot of problems that, like, even, like, really well animated, like, anime fight scenes have, is that sometimes they end up being, like, too flat, too two-dimensional. Fucking Sword Art Online has that quite a bit. Where it's kind of just a flat static image and then Kirito flipping his sword around like a cool guy. And there's not like a sense of depth or like a sense of environment to the fights. And here, you get that. Just the camera's constantly panning and moving with all the attacks. Apparently that shit had 3 times as many shots as a normal episode. That particular episode. Nice. They just went all fucking out. Mm-hmm. And it shows, and it was great, and I fucking loved it. Also, finally, in this Castlevania series, we get a cover of a Castlevania song. Jesus Christ. Fucking, what was it? Let's see, it's like 4 episodes, so... 11 episodes into this goddamn series. We finally get a Castlevania song in this Castlevania series. And, like... It just made me really happy, but also it made me realize how shitty the music is in this show. It is just so background. It is just never stands out, never pops. It is generic orchestral fantasy schlock background noise. The majority of the time. Like, this is something that Dan, Bob, and I bitched about in season 1, and like here... Like, I literally did not notice the soundtrack until we got to that scene, and then Bloody Tears started playing. I'm like, oh, that's a Castlevania song! That's a Castlevania song! Oh my god! There's a soundtrack here! Like, that's finally when I actually noticed it. Every time it was just completely forgettable background noise. The guy who did this, who did the soundtrack, we'd actually looked it up during that old podcast. Motherfucker did shit like Dragon Age Inquisition, and... a bunch of shitty horror movies, and, like, one of those really bad, like, Gods of Egypt or some shit. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, he did stuff like that. He just does, like a composer for hire. And it literally took that motherfucker just, like, I remember in season 1, there's, like, 2 tracks that stuck out. One was this weird, jaunty, like, bar fight music that was oddly out of place. And then another kind of synthy theme in the first season that sounded like it was ripped straight from Tron. And that was it. Here, it was just Bloody Tears. They had Bloody Tears, and finally, hey, the soundtrack stood out for once. But yeah, I want them to get a new composer, man. Clearly you don't care about the music.
I really don't.
Like, I know you love Castlevania music. Mm-hmm. Like it kills me where we have, like, Castlevania games, like, especially, like, old Castlevania games. Like, you know, they're basically known for 2 things. Being hard as balls and having awesome music. And, like, you know, I feel like just the visceral nature of the action gets across it. Like, yeah, like, you know, the action of Castlevania. But just then the music being so utterly forgettable. Like, it'd be like if you made, like, a Mega Man series, and it had horribly forgettable music, which I know. They're playing Mega Man shows, and they all have forgettable music, I'm sure. But we're not talking about that, we're talking about Castlevania right now, so keep on task, guys. But yeah, no, it is just one of those things that irks the shit out of me, that this, like, I literally want to just go in and, like, like get rips of these episodes with 5.1 tracks, remove all the music, and then put in remixes of Castlevania music just so I could go, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, no, you're gonna sit down to do that, and you're gonna come out with 8 episodes of Guile's theme, and you fucking know it.
He says it like it's a bad thing. I don't. Well, yeah. So where all this storyline builds up to, because I feel like a lot of this season is a lot of characters just doing things, and Dracula just being like, he's just so done with this shit. He's just like, I hate humanity. I just want them to die.
I'm too pretty and goth to care.
like Dracula in this season, he is just, he's just so fed up and done with bullshit. Where he's just make all the humans go away. Make them stop existing. And like the fucking vampire council's just like, if we get rid of all the humans, there's nothing for us to eat. I think we shouldn't listen to Dracula anymore.
The Dracula keeps going like, no, it's gonna be fine. Look, we're gonna kill all the humans. Stop arguing. And Hector's back there, but not all of them, right? Right? Yeah, whatever. All of them.
Right? I like there are some genuinely great moments in this, like just because Storm the Cat, like episode 7 in general, I love that episode from it is a 10 out of 10 viewing experience because you get like the great fucking Storm the Castle sequence, you get the goddamn Dracula fight, and like before you even get to that though, you have like Isaac is just like he's just like, wait, like you would give your mortal life for my immortal one. And he goes, of course. And he goes, then my only regret is taking that choice from you. And tossing him to safety. And I'm like, that is such a genuine human. Because like this is a guy who is, like, he is beyond reason at this point. He just, humanity needs to be wiped out for what they did. But there's just one fucking human where he goes, God damn it, no. You're one of the good ones. The only good one. Fuck. And just saves him. And that's great. And you get, like, that, and then just the fucking Drac fight happens. And it is just awesome. It is just awesome.
There's just nothing quite like you've got the Storm in the Castle sequence, and they just waste all these other vampires. And they roll upstairs like, yeah, we're the baddest motherfucker. And they are just immediately out of their goddamn depth.
Yeah. Like, clearly they had to, like, nerf Dracula a little bit in this. Because Dracula was fucking ridiculous in Season 1. So here they have to be like, he hasn't fed in a while. Like, he hasn't been, like, he's been, like, really depressed and not eating ever since his wife died. So he's kind of weak now. He's exhausted. You call him Sleepy Dracula. But he's still Dracula, so he's still kind of a rape murder machine. And
just that fucking meteor spell.
Yeah.
And it's just goddamn amazing.
So cool.
And it's like every piece of ongoing action in this series is done so well with such an attention to material detail. Like they do the meteor spell, they basically have a beam battle, and Alucard stabs through it, and I don't know, it's fucking awesome. So there's this, like, he tackles him through this giant burning hole in the wall. And Trevor and Sifa, like, they finally get their shit back together, like, okay, fuck that. And they go downstairs.
Yeah, no, it's great. Once again, great use of space.
Any other show, they'd have just, like, leaped down the tunnel and it would have been fine.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's little attention to detail like that. It gives these characters humanity, gives them personality. It adds an extra layer to what is going on in the action. And like I said, like, that is what this series has. It's just, it has layers. And fucking, one of my favorite sequences is when they're in the Belmont Castle and they're fighting that one big wolf-looking motherfucker. And he's trying to, like, cut into his neck. And he's just, like, riding on top of it. And then he gets thrown off. So he, like, tosses a dagger, like, into, like, the blade, like, try to get it in deeper. And, like, and knocks the sword out. And, like, there's just there's such great use of space in these fights, and just it understands that these characters are fighting in an environment. It's not like a big open field. It's not an arena. It's a hallway. It's a library. It's a dungeon. You know, like they are fighting in environments, and they use the environment.
And because of the way they're constructed, like this, the one thing this show is very, very good at, its main skill is setting and expressing a tone. Mm-hmm. So when it does a scene like, oh, well, this is fucking dreary and a little spooky. This is, oh, it's very sad and emotional. It's just, it hits these tones very well. And usually when something badass happens in a sequence, a movie, or like in a fight scene, it's like, oh, that thing that happened was badass. This show uses its fight to set badass as a tone for the entire scene.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then you get to the end of that fight. And you have just him spearing Alucard through the fucking wall. And he's just like, looks and realizes he's in Alucard's room. It's just like, our child, our baby boy, blah, blah, blah. And he's just like, I was about to destroy the greatest gift you've ever given me. And just like that, like, just, there's so much humanity in this version of Dracula. I love it. Like, I love this version of Dracula. I kind of hope that, like, as he kind of goes on, like, yeah, once you kind of remove Alucard from these stories, and, it, like, we start getting, like, a Dracula that's going a little bit more over the edge and a little bit crazier and a little bit more just malicious and monstrous.
Yeah, coming back from hell is going to be fucking wild.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do love that it was, like everyone kind of, like, did their part where it's just, like Alucard stakes him, fucking, what was it, Trevor, like, decapitates him, and then Sifa, like, burns the body. Like, that was great. Because I was just like, oh, right, because they're running on Bram Stoker rules, where you gotta do, like, the triple shot.
Yeah, they're fucking making sure.
So that was great shit. Going back to, like, other things in this, because, like, God, there's just so much. I love the attitude between Trevor and Alucard. I love that. I love how they directly... Because I was really confused on the timeline of events, because I'm like, wait, how old is Alucard? Mm-hmm. Because his mother was still fairly young. Like, when was he born? And he outright states, like, oh, I had to grow up quickly. It's like, or I grew up quickly. And she looks at it like, no, I mean literally, like, I aged quickly.
I had this one moment where, like, fucking woman's like, oh, Dracula, I want to start a family. He's like, cool. And, like, a portal opens up, and he walks in, and he walks out with a kid. I went to the future and got us this baby.
Yeah. Just, there's so many great little things here. I feel like it's really interesting, like, how good of an adaptation this is, considering Warren Ellis went into this project knowing fuck all about Castlevania. He didn't know a damn thing. He knew it was a game series. And there was a guy with a whip. And this guy sat his ass down and he, like, just learned the lore. And within these 2 seasons, he's incorporated stuff from Curse of Darkness, from Dracula's Curse, from Lament of Innocence, Symphony of the Night. Like he's covered as much stuff as you could naturally cover. Like, you know, it clearly shows that he has put in the time, he has put in the research, and he is taking the parts to tell his own story that still follows the events of the games. So yeah, like, I'm really curious to see, like, what they're going to do for Season 3. I'm assuming Season 3 is going to be...
Whis.
Oh, God.
You heard it here first, folks. This is my prediction. Whis Belmont in Season 3.
Oh, man. I'm pretty sure that's just going to be a season of Goblin Slayer. If they're chesty, you bet I'll get those STDs.
No, that's a different show coming out this season. It's called Conceive.
Wait, what? Is that an anime?
Yeah.
Is it ecchi? It's just pornography, isn't it?
I'm not sure yet. I haven't watched it. You know how all isekais have a gimmick? From what I've heard, this one's gimmick is that guy has to impregnate someone or everyone. I don't know. I'm really not clear.
Is he a Belmont?
I don't think so.
All right. So yeah, I want season 3. I want it soon. Hopefully, I hope we don't have to wait anywhere near as long because I felt like we waited forever for season 2. So I'm hoping that, like, you know,
yeah. How was it? 2 years ago? Last year?
I don't know. We were still doing weeaboos.
Because I think we're just getting like, see you next Halloween.
Maybe. I have no clue. I just know that, like, it felt for forever, and considering how quickly seasons of Voltron get turned out, I'm like,
that had to be last year.
Was it?
Yeah, because we were here.
Were we?
Uh-huh.
Oh. Well, okay then. It was last year.
Yeah, last Halloween probably.
Man, it was really only last Halloween.
Mm-hmm.
It felt like so much longer than a year.
Yeah.
Maybe because it was only 4 fucking episodes.
Uh-huh.
Oof.
Next one's what, 12?
10.
10.
Yeah. One of these days we'll get the full anime core. It's 13.
The anime core sounds like the worst army to be in.
I thought it sounded like the worst musical genre.
Oh, God. No, that's a real thing, and I didn't want to think about it.
Anime core is a real musical genre?
I mean, it depends on how snootily you say the phrase real musical genre.